What if everything you were taught about the death of Jesus was only half the truth? What if the crucifix wasn't just about redemption, but about silencing a revolutionary voice threatening the very foundations of religious and political power? Behind the familiar narrative lies a deeper, more dangerous truth. A truth so volatile, it was buried under centuries of dogma, hidden from pulpits and pages, whispered only among mystics and outcasts. And now, for the first time, you're going to hear it. This isn't just about history, it's about what was stolen from you and what you were never meant to remember. If you're still watching by the end, it's because you're ready, and maybe, just maybe, you were called. We all know the version: Jesus, the Son of God, crucified to redeem humanity from sin. A sacrifice wrapped in divine obedience, played out like a cosmic play. But what if that story was deliberately sterilized? What if the real reason Jesus was executed had less to do with theology and more to do with power, politics, and forbidden knowledge? Jesus lived under Roman occupation, a regime notorious for crushing any sign of insurrection. But it wasn't only Rome that saw him as a threat. The religious establishment, the Sanhedrin, had a vested interest in maintaining order. And Jesus? He preached a kingdom that did not belong to Caesar. He overturned tables in temples, shattered norms, and called out spiritual hypocrisy with surgical precision. According to the Gospel of Thomas, Jesus said, "If those who lead you say to you, 'See, the kingdom is in the sky,' then the birds of the sky will precede you, but the kingdom is within you." That teaching undermined every hierarchy of control. If the divine is within, then why do we need priests, temples, or empires? This message wasn't just revolutionary, it was dangerous. Not because it was wrong, but because it was too right. It offered liberation from systems that thrived on fear, and for that, he was marked. Jesus didn't just preach reform. He demonstrated a completely different cosmology, one that centered spiritual authority within the self. He taught that the soul was eternal, unchained by death, and divine in essence. In a time when religion was monopolized by intermediaries, this was heresy of the highest order. In the Gospel of Philip, it is written, "The world came into being through a mistake, but those who have the knowledge are from above." This knowledge, gnosis, was what Jesus transmitted. And it wasn't theoretical, it was practical. Heal the sick, raise the dead, cast out fear. But most dangerously, it taught people to bypass the religious gatekeepers. Jesus threatened a system built on obedience, guilt, and ritual. His message? That you are not fallen, but forgotten. That remembering who you are is the only salvation you need. This directly attacked the sacrificial system of the temple and thus the financial and spiritual control of both church and empire. The crucifixion wasn't merely punishment, it was public theater, a warning to others who might dare speak the same truths, and it was designed to reclaim the narrative. But what they couldn't silence was the seed he planted, one that continues to awaken even now. What history books rarely tell you is how tightly woven the political and religious threads were at the time of Jesus. The Sanhedrin, though religious in title, operated more like a political council, closely aligned with Rome's interests. Their survival depended on maintaining the status quo, and Jesus was unraveling it. The Gospel of Matthew records a pivotal moment. Then the chief priests and the elders of the people assembled, and they plotted to arrest Jesus in some sly way and kill him. Why sly? Because public sentiment still leaned toward him. The people saw a healer, a prophet, a liberator. But the elites saw a disruptor of the order, a threat to their centralized authority. Pilate himself was no fan of crucifying Jesus. According to multiple accounts, including apocryphal sources like the Gospel of Nicodemus, Pilate's wife even had a dream warning him of Jesus' innocence. But politics outweighed dreams. Pilate ultimately bent to pressure not only from the crowd but from behind-the-scenes negotiations with temple authorities. In ancient Roman jurisprudence, crucifixion was reserved for seditionists, not heretics. This legal technicality reveals something damning. Jesus wasn't killed for claiming to be the Son of God. He was executed as a political threat. And what of Judas? Some Gnostic texts suggest he wasn't a traitor, but a chosen vessel, fulfilling a hidden instruction. The Gospel of Judas, discovered in the 1970s, offers a radical reinterpretation that Jesus instructed Judas to hand him over to complete the plan of awakening through sacrifice. So we must ask, was Jesus' death a martyrdom or a message? Not all of Jesus' teachings were for the masses. Some messages he reserved for a select few, those he believed ready to bear the weight of deeper truths. As it says in the Gospel of Mark, "To you has been given the mystery of the kingdom of God, but for those outside, everything is in parables." This inner circle, comprising Mary Magdalene, Thomas, Philip, and others, received teachings that diverged sharply from the public sermons. These were not about rules or morality. They were initiations, steps toward awakening the divine seed within. In the Gospel of Mary, she recounts visions and wisdom imparted to her directly by the resurrected Christ. Wisdom so radical, the other disciples doubted her. Why? Because the knowledge given to Mary did not depend on church, temple, or man. It depended only on remembering. Jesus spoke of the bridal chamber, a mystical union between the soul and the divine. He described layers of the spiritual world, aeons, archons, and the realm of light, unseen by those shackled to the material. His mission was not just to die and rise, it was to ignite remembrance in those prepared. These teachings were threatening not only to the temple, but to future church fathers, so they were buried, labeled heretical, locked away in desert caves and burned in imperial fires. But they survived, whispered in Gnostic sects, passed in symbols, hidden in metaphors, and now, re-emerging. After Jesus' death, his movement should have remained a spiritual revolution, but within decades it was reshaped, no longer about gnosis but obedience, not about inner light but external creed. When Constantine legalized Christianity in the 4th century, the movement became a machine. At the Council of Nicaea in 325 AD, bishops convened to create a unified doctrine, one that excluded alternative gospels like those of Thomas and Mary. Jesus the mystic became Jesus the institution. The message was edited, simplified, politicized. This wasn't accidental. The Roman Empire needed control, and a fractured, decentralized spirituality couldn't serve that. They replaced remembrance with ritual, replaced direct experience with dogma, and the most sacred truths, your inner divinity, your direct access to God, were suppressed. Even Paul's letters were interpreted to promote hierarchy and suppression of women and mystics. Yet Paul himself hints otherwise. Do you not know that you are God's temple and that God's Spirit dwells in you? 1 Corinthians 3:16. Over time, the mystics were branded heretics. The Cathars, the Essenes, the Desert Fathers, all sought direct experience, and all were persecuted. The message of Jesus survived, but underground, and now, after centuries of silence, you're being invited to remember, not to follow, but to reclaim. The story isn't over. In fact, it was never just a story. It's a code. One that activates when you're ready to see. And if you've made it this far, you are. Jesus didn't ask to be worshipped. He invited you to awaken. As he said in the Gospel of Thomas, "Whoever drinks from my mouth will become like me. I myself shall become that person, and the hidden things will be revealed to them." This is the real secret. You are not a follower. You are a mirror. A fractal of the divine. The crucifixion wasn't the end. It was a seed buried in the collective unconscious, waiting to blossom. To awaken, you don't need permission, you need remembrance. Meditation, dream work, journaling, fasting, these aren't religious duties. They are portals. They clear the static so you can hear the signal. The church gave you answers, but Jesus asked questions. And it's in the asking, in the seeking, that gnosis begins. You're not being called to convert, you're being called to return. Not to a place, but to a knowing. The kingdom isn't coming. It's already here, hidden in plain sight, buried not in books, but in your being. So ask yourself, what was buried within you that needs resurrection? And if you dared to remember, what might awaken? If you felt something stir inside you while watching, then this message was meant for you. Subscribe now to the Ether Scroll to join the hidden path and uncover more truths they never wanted you to see. Super thanks if you've supported this channel. It means everything. And don't forget to explore the playlist, The Hidden Teachings of Jesus, for more revelations waiting to be remembered.